In a small village, there was a novice farmer who spent countless hours watching motivational videos. Enthralled by the principles of hard work and relentless effort, he absorbed every message about the hustle culture and the mantra of work hard, play hard. After days of immersion in this high-energy content, he stepped onto his farm, brimming with determination to achieve remarkable success. His first attempt to accelerate growth involved forcefully pulling at his crops, believing this would make them grow faster. However, the plants remained unaffected. Undeterred, he decided to double the amount of water he provided, thinking it would spur quicker growth. Instead, he ended up drowning his plants. Through these missteps, the farmer learned a crucial lesson. No matter the effort, working against the natural order was counterproductive. After his failed attempts to force success, the farmer came to a profound realization. No matter how hard he worked, acting against nature's rhythms was futile. Despite our technological advancements and relentless drive for progress, humanity remains deeply reliant on nature. Human effort has its boundaries and must align with natural processes. We can't grow a plant entirely apart from its natural environment, even though we can influence and manipulate it to some extent. The esteemed author of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, taught that the world governs itself and doesn't require our intervention. As Lao Tzu wrote, "When you arrive at non-action, nothing will be left undone." This reflects the essence of the paradoxical concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action, which suggests that by not forcing things, everything falls into place naturally. When we seek to define Wu Wei, we quickly realize that it resists a single fixed meaning. Some interpret Wu Wei as non-action or doing nothing, while others describe it as actionless action or effortless action. Taoism reveals multiple layers to this concept, illustrating how Wu Wei can deepen our relationship with the world. This ancient art of letting things happen doesn't make us passive or ignorant. Instead, it enhances our actions, leading to more effective outcomes. This video aims to clarify and make practical the depth of this philosophical idea. The most common interpretation of Wu Wei is aligning our actions with nature, not forcing anything, and acting when the time is right. Lao Tzu warned that using force always leads to unforeseen problems. He wasn't referring to literal force, but to the idea of forcing the flow of nature. Nature follows its own course, always working in the background. It is the foundation of our existence and constantly creates and recreates what Taoists call the 10,000 things, everything under heaven and beyond. Despite the immense propulsion of the universe, today's society prioritizes conscious human effort above all else. We celebrate effort regardless of its actual effectiveness, striving to stay busy simply for the sake of being busy. Like modern Sisyphuses, we push rocks uphill without purpose. Making an effort is one thing, but making an intelligent effort is another. Yes, there are times when hard work is necessary and action is appropriate, but often it is not. It depends on the rhythm of the game, the cards you're dealt, and whether it's your turn. Acting out of turn means going against the natural flow. Consequently, we often find that forcing things leads to long-term ruin, and that pushing our luck beyond nature's limits backfires. On the other hand, situations often resolve themselves when we refrain from forcing or intervening. By allowing things to happen naturally, they tend to take care of themselves. The novice farmer, for instance, needed only to leave his crops alone and be patient, letting nature take its course. However, when it's time to reap, the farmer must roll up his sleeves and get to work. Lao Tzu stated, "The Tao never acts with force, yet there is nothing that it cannot do." By aligning with nature, everything proceeds smoothly. The farmer's role is to sow the seed's role is to grow into crops, and the farmer's task is to harvest them when they are ready. This is how nature operates at its best. Lao Tzu believed that the world cannot be governed because it governs itself. Attempting to control it is always a losing battle. Spending our lives fighting against nature is futile, regardless of how much people may celebrate such efforts. Instead of expending our energy trying to control, govern, and change the natural course of things, we are better off accepting what is and navigating through it, like water flowing through rocky terrain towards the ocean. As Lao Tzu said, "Some are meant to lead, and others are meant to follow. Some must always strain, and others have an easy time. Some are naturally big and strong, and others will always be small. Some will be protected and nurtured, and others will meet with destruction. The master accepts things as they are, and, out of compassion, avoids extravagance, excess, and extremes. Delving deeper into the meaning of Wu Wei, we find it even more intriguing. Let's consider its most accurate definition as effortless action. Unlike the conventional translations of non-action or doing nothing, it implies being active and on the move while maintaining the principle of letting things happen. With effortless action, we're not merely doing, but going. Imagine embarking on a river stream without knowing where it will take us. We set sail into uncharted territory without letting the great unknown intimidate us. We swim along with the current, not against it, creating a smooth journey free of stammers and hiccups. Swimming against the current requires effort, as does holding onto a rock. By moving with the flow, we navigate life's challenges with ease and grace. When we force things, problems often arise. Take going on a date, for example. The person you're meeting is interested in one thing: getting to know you, the person you are at that moment. However, many people over-prepare, over-analyze, and rehearse what they're going to say. This leads to nerves, overcompensation, and a disingenuous, staged appearance. Why does this happen? Most likely because we focus too much on the outcome. Zhuangzi discusses how different expectations can influence our actions and emotional states if we become attached to them. A previous video, Win Without Trying, explains this further using Zhuangzi's parable of the archer. In the context of a date, most of us want it to be successful. We want the other person to like us. This creates pressure, a sense of a prize to be won, and if we don't achieve it, we feel miserable. Consequently, what could have been a fun, joyful night out becomes a strenuous, forced, and stressful event, filled with discursive thoughts and mental preparations. We end up standing in our own way, obstructing the natural flow of the universe, which we cannot control, no matter how much thought and planning we put into it. But imagine entering a date utterly unprepared without any advance notice. In this scenario, you act naturally, in the moment, and spontaneously, as you haven't had the opportunity to overthink. There's been no time for planning, plotting, or analyzing, leaving only the purest version of yourself, present and in harmony with the moment. Most people find this authenticity very appealing. When we manage to let go of the outcome, we can act more effortlessly and responsively, engaging in the experience for its own sake rather than being driven by a specific result. This approach allows us to connect more genuinely and enjoy the process, embodying the essence of Wu Wei in our interactions. If we delve even deeper, we encounter the concepts of ego and emptiness. Due to past experiences, social conditioning, or ideologies, we have molded ourselves into knowledgeable, cultured individuals who fit within specific contexts, such as a religious community, a country, or a profession. While this is generally viewed as positive, it comes with a downside related to the ego. The ego often distorts our perception of reality. When we approach a situation, such as a conversation with a spouse, the ego fills in the unknown gaps with prejudices, fantasies, and convictions. The larger the ego, the more it dominates the situation, closing us off from what is truly happening. Consequently, people with strong convictions find it challenging to see the world from a different perspective or outside the confines of their intellectual prison. Lao Tzu urges us to return to a more unprocessed state, which he refers to as the uncarved block. We can envision the uncarved block as a person free from intellectual baggage, allowing for a clear vision of the world. By embracing this state, we can perceive reality without the distortions of ego, approaching situations with openness and clarity. Dr. Woei Lin Chong, a Dutch philosopher and sinologist, provides a compelling interpretation of Wu Wei in her book on Taoist philosophy. She emphasizes the element of emptiness or openness, describing the practice of Wu Wei as follows. And so the whole practitioner is able to, from the clarity of his egoless center, observe all relevant forces in a certain situation in their being, undistorted, so he can respond to them flawlessly. Viewing Wu Wei in this light, it's not merely about letting go and going with the flow of nature, allowing the universe to take its course. It is a much bolder move, requiring significant courage. We must be brave enough to abandon what we've learned, discard our normative frameworks, and flush our assumptions down the drain. As Lao Tzu puts it, renounce knowledge and your problems will end. What is the difference between yes and no? What is the difference between good and evil? Must you fear what others fear? Nonsense! Look how far you have missed the mark. This perspective invites us to approach life with an egoless openness, observing the world as it truly is and responding with clarity and spontaneity. It challenges us to relinquish our preconceived notions and embrace the world with fresh, undistorted eyes. Zhuangzi shares a story about a conversation between Confucius and one of his pupils, Yan Hui. Yan Hui had heard about the many problems and tyrannical ruler in the kingdom of Wei and planned to use his knowledge and wisdom to lecture the king and steer the kingdom in the right direction. However, Confucius advised Yan Hui against it, pointing out that his intentions were too ego-driven and would likely fail. After all, no one appreciates a know-it-all, especially a self-absorbed tyrant, coming in and telling them how to manage their affairs. Instead, Confucius offered an alternative called the fasting of the heart. He described this as a form of meditation that involves letting go of preconceptions and making room to receive new information. With an open and receptive attitude, Yan Hui would be able to learn about Wei and its king, their customs and beliefs, and the situation as it unfolded. This approach would ultimately make him much more capable of offering genuine help. By embracing the fasting of the heart, Yan Hui could engage with the kingdom of Wei from a place of understanding and compassion, rather than ego and preconceived notions. In this understanding of Wu Wei, we let go of the ego, allowing us to act in harmony with the situation at hand. We let things unfold naturally and respond without being constrained by our limited, preconceived ideas. As Lao Tzu describes it, we return to being uncarved blocks, pure and unblemished by intellectual baggage. Dr. Woei Lianchong eloquently explains, no matter if it's about politics, governance, diplomacy, or any other activity, what Zhuangzi calls Wu Wei is this ultimate receptive and responsive way of action, from a crystal clear openness in yourself, one with the breathing of the cosmos. Thank you for watching. If you find this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel.